We need to get things started here. I'm really, really pleased to see so many people out tonight. I really think it's wonderful to have children here tonight too. So congratulations for everybody for coming out and for bringing your families. So welcome neighbors. My name is Terry Moore. I am co-moderating this meeting tonight with Karen Mason. We're going to share the duties of the evening tonight. I'd like to start by acknowledging and respecting that we're holding this meeting on South First Nation territory. And I would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce and David from Stick in the Mud for giving us this opportunity to hear all the candidates that are here tonight. Now for some ground rules for this evening. Number one on the list is respect here. We ask that everybody be respectful. People asking the questions and the candidates asking the answers, or answering, I mean, and the candidates in between themselves as well. We will not tolerate any personal attacks. We do have people who will remove anybody that's doing that. I don't expect that tonight. Like I said, we're all neighbors here, and I'm sure it will be a wonderful event. I'm going to turn it over to Karen Mason. I'm going to be doing the timing tonight, and Karen's going to be asking questions, and she will also be outlining what's going to come up with the format for the evening. So with that, I'll turn it over to Karen.
Hi everyone. Before I get started though, one of our co-sponsors for the evening is David Evans from the Stick in the Mud, and we're going to give David a moment just to say something.
So for a few $100 you get to sit up here and do this. The Chamber called up all of their members and said, who wants to sponsor the event? And I asked, well, can there be only one sponsor? And they said, sure, and they picked an arbitrary number. And I said, okay, so here I am. I want to say just a very few things. First of all, thank you for supporting my business, The Stick in the Mud. We're a small, local, independent coffee shop. We roast coffee and make food. And we also support a bunch of local employees. We support a bunch of other local businesses. We buy things locally. And so you guys are supporting that. Thanks. That's how I got here, was through your goodwill. Yeah, absolutely. We have 13 very daring people up here who want to represent us for 4 years, and that is a huge commitment. They're going to be giving of their personal time, they're going to be giving of their private time, and they're going to be very public figures. It's really easy these days to find a fault in what someone thinks or says and to complain about it in a magical social media. I really highly recommend, if you've got something negative or positive to say to one of these people, call them up, make a meeting. Don't do it online. It's way easier to find common ground. Enough said. Two more things. When I'm choosing who I'm going to support, I choose someone who's running for something, not running against something. I think it's really important that we try to build common ground, not come up with problems, but come up with solutions. I also think, what's the last thing I was thinking? You're voting for 6 councillors and 1 mayor. If you can't support 6 people, don't vote for 6 people because that will dilute your vote. Vote for who you do believe in. Don't make a second guess. That's all I have to say. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you, David. Great words. Thank you so much. Over to my agenda piece. Okay. So how the evening is going to work, and if you don't mind, I'm just going to read my notes just because I don't want to miss anything. How this is going to work tonight is each candidate is going to be giving an opening statement. They're going to have 2 minutes to give their opening statement. You'll see that all of the candidates are sitting in a row. They drew their numbers as to where they are sitting. Okay, so it was a lottery draw to where they were sitting. The candidates are going to entertain written questions that many of you submitted tonight. Thank you so much for that. They're going to have 60 seconds to answer a question, and they'll get a 30-second warning and a 1-minute cutoff. And because we have so many people up here, we're really going to hold to a very, very tight timeline. So if the councillor is still talking at 60 seconds, I will likely be just going, thank you. Next. And we will be rotating that. There are councillors that will be getting, and mayor candidates that are going to be getting questions directly, and I will ask those questions directly. Otherwise, we'll be rotating the questions. And if we have time, again, this is a really, really tight schedule because we have so many candidates. So if we have time, we will be opening the floor to 2 questions. The floor mic is just right down here to my left. And again, only if we do have time, so I'm not too sure how that's going to work out. And I think that is where we are for that part of it. The mayoral, so the candidates for council will be going with that portion of the meeting till 8:05 sharp. At 8:05, it will be cut off, and then we will be switching the council candidates over to the mayoral candidates, and they'll be going to 9:05. As you can see, we've got a camera crew here, and they will be taping this meeting tonight, and it will be available. They'll be notifying the chamber approximately, I think they said about 3 days that this is going to be ready for, and they're going to be posting it on YouTube, so you'll be able to go back and review this after. So if you want to take notes or you couldn't remember which councillor said what, you'll be able to go back to the YouTube site and just recall what each candidate said. And with that, how about if we start the questions? Yeah. Opening statements. I just want to go straight to the questions. Okay. Okay. So again, each of you will have 2 minutes to give your opening comments. You'll get a 30-second warning when you're close to your time's up, and at 2 minutes we'll be going on to the next candidate. And Al, by the lottery, you're first up. Let's go.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name's Al Beddoes, and I'm running for Sooke Council. I'm a retired manager of the communications and cryptographic shops in Dockyard. I'm currently president of the Sooke Lions, president of the Sooke Regional Historical Society, treasurer of the Sooke Minor Fastball, and I volunteer at the food bank. I am married to my wonderful wife, Jane. I have 4 children and 6 grandchildren. 5 of my grandchildren live here in Sooke. Sooke is growing at a rapid pace. We are transitioning from a small rural community. Development is inevitable, but we need to manage its growth in an intelligent way. I'm not for or against development. I'm for what's best for Sooke. We can't afford to get it wrong. If a wrong development goes into the wrong place, we have it forever. With more and more housing, our roads are near capacity. We need to improve our infrastructure. We need to explore alternate routes in, out, and through Sooke. Our downtown is choking. More sidewalks, especially in the downtown area. Of course, we need to lobby the provincial government for additional improvements on Highway 14, including twinning the Sooke River Bridge. We need to work with the medical professionals to have a functioning medical clinic which offers urgent care diagnostic treatment center. We need to carry through with more services for our seniors, a dedicated senior center for a start. More attention to services for youth, particularly teens, providing a meeting place with counseling opportunities. Sooke is a wonderful community, and I want to be part of its future. Thank you very much.
Hi there, I'm Phil Rosner. I've lived in Sooke for 17 years. For me, running for Sooke Council is a form of community service, and that is something that I'm always interested in, working collaboratively, and that's a key word, with a dedicated group of people to make important decisions that, after careful deliberation, are found to be in the best interest of the community at large. Over the past 30-plus years, I've been involved with a number of NGOs, mainly environmental and human rights organizations, and I'm currently president of the board of directors for the Vancouver Island Counseling Center for Immigrants and Refugees. So I've had a great deal of experience working for the good of the community, whether that be local or international. As a professional musician, I thought it would be interesting if I could write a song that conveyed the basics of my campaign. As such, I wrote a song titled, "Let's Be the Change," and the song and title have subsequently become my campaign theme. The first verse is, "It's not about me, and it's not about you, but when we come together, there's so much we can do." So my intention was that this theme not be confined just to the members of council, but to the community at large. And it's basically all about inclusion, transparency, and working together with the right combination of smart and heart in order to make the best decisions for our community. You know, I think that across the board politically, it's very easy to make campaign promises and equally easy to identify issues that are of interest to the voting public. However, for anyone elected to civic office, I strongly believe that the most important aspect in all this is to approach important issues with an open mind, to thoroughly research the issue, to listen to what our fellow Sookites are saying, and to work cooperatively with the mayor and fellow councillors
Thank you,
towards
Phil.
a collaborative decision. Thank you.
One lap, Terry. Terry, one lap around the. Yeah. That's fun.
Hi, my name is Megan McMath. I was born in Maple Ridge, but I've lived in Sooke since I was 4 years old. During that time, I've been fortunate enough to spend most of that playing soccer and baseball, and I'm one of the few fortunate people that's been able to sustain local employment. It did take me moving to Victoria and a little bit of traveling to truly appreciate how incredible Sooke is. And even now, when I take time away from Sooke, I almost feel a sense of relief when I come back here. Why am I running? It's definitely not for the money. I bought a home in Sooke about 3 years ago, and my partner and I want to stay here, and we want to grow here with Sooke. So for us to do that, we need fundamental things that are missing in this community. There are, like every municipality, there are a variety of issues. The priorities for me are affordable housing, balanced growth, and accessible local health care. Affordable housing, there's a few different options. There's looking at lots for modular homes. There's also something that seems to be missing, which is it's an intermunicipal issue. So I would like Sooke with other municipalities to work together to go after provincial and federal money as well. With a balanced approach to growth, it's reviewing the OCP, and then with accessible healthcare, it's pushing projects that are already in works and continuing that work. It's also looking at incentives to attract and retain doctors, for family doctors. If you're looking for someone who's going to be positive and put their energy into working for you, I ask that you vote for me. If you are looking for someone that's going to listen to you and look into your concerns, vote for me. And if you're looking for someone that's going to work hard
Megan.
to see that Sooke reaches its potential, vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Rick Casper, and I'm just completing my 10th year on council, elected for 3 terms. I moved to Sooke 26 years ago. I married a Sooke girl. She's actually sitting at the table here, so it's no surprise we drove here together. And one thing I'm going to say today, that it reinforced, it was an event at the local high school, and it was an opportunity to meet with the high school students from the socials class. And what I saw there was Sooke's future. And it reinforced one of the things that is fundamental to my belief about this community. I want to make sure that they have every opportunity that all of us have had in this room for their lives and their future. I want to make sure that they have the opportunity to purchase a home, to rent a home at a reasonable price. I don't want them to experience what my son experienced and some of his friends, 5 actually. They had to move, they had to leave this community because they couldn't find an affordable place to live. That's wrong. I don't think anyone would want that on anybody. So, you know, my vision and what I'd like to see is to build opportunities for our youth, for young families who want to make a living here, for young families who want to move here, for our seniors, and the opportunities that we can provide them. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brenda Parkinson. It is inspiring to see so many residents showing such an interest in our future of our community. It has been my honor to serve as one of your councillors. I find it hard to believe that my 4-year term on council is coming to completion. My time on council has both been exhilarating and challenging. I am proud of council's accomplishments over this period of time, which include projects completed and projects underway. Our town center beautification projects have included completion of our roundabout, gardens, sidewalks, all-season banners, children and adult rock gardens, and art bombers that add to the beauty of our surroundings. This year, we once again participated in the Communities in Bloom and received our 5 Bloom status. We purchased Lot A, soon to be the home of our new library. Council supported the Knox Center housing development and approved the Broomhill Park playground purchase of 2 new play structures. We supported Sea Park's acquisition of Demanuel Creek Golf Course, supported the efforts of the community, and partnered with the regional director in the building of the all-weather turf field and the bike park. We are striving to attain affordable housing initiatives and advocating for a comprehensive healthcare facility, working towards the 5-year road improvement project, which upgrades our local roads. Creating pedestrian connectivity corridors and trail connections is part of our package. In the process of installing electric charging stations on municipal land, we brought the Parks Department and wastewater treatment in-house for cost savings, working towards the completion of the Sooke River Road drainage project. I have served 2 terms on council and would appreciate your support for a 3rd term. I have the desire, motivation, and passion to continue to serve you and to be a full-time councillor. On October 20th, please vote for me. Please vote for Brenda Parkinson. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jeff Bateman, and I'm back here at this table just as I was 4 years ago. Back then, to quote Agent 86, Maxwell Smart, I missed it by that much. 24 votes, in fact, and in retrospect, it was a very good thing because it gave me 4 more years to continue an apprenticeship that began back in 2011 when I first got interested in what I've long called the best Monday night entertainment in town, council meetings. In the interim, I've attended many of these council meetings, occupying the mic during public comment time for 2 minutes at a time, just like now, often hanging in until the late night as these marathon meetings came to an end. So overall, I have a better idea of what the job entails. With my career as a journalist winding down, I've spent the last decade as an active volunteer, just like many of you here in the volunteer capital of Canada. And thank you for that boast, Alita Peers, because it fits. It's been rewarding work and a lot of fun with Transition Sooke and the EMCS Society, among other groups. The best of it for me has been the people. Old Sooke, new Sooke, in between Sooke. People I've met along the way. Like them, my wife Carol and I sincerely love this town. We landed here 15 years ago because we found a dream home we could afford. Other places on Vancouver Island were frankly more exciting and interesting, and yet we soon discovered that Sooke offers so much more than what can be seen from the main road. Our best assets are camouflaged, our most beautiful waterfront face is hidden, our special places are off the beaten track and not so far away. It's time for Sooke, aged 18 as a municipality, to leave home and choose a college major. We'll do that by getting back to the basics. We need to hire a super talented chief administrative officer. We must refocus our longtime vision and a refreshed official community plan. We must be patient, cautious, and realistic, and deal maturely with our unexpected teenage growth spurt. Please take home my brochure.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Jeff.
Good night. Cheerio.
All right, let's try that again. My name is Tony St. Pierre, and I'm running for council, by the way. There we go. Is this really Tony? Okay, there we go. So I'm running for council because I believe that municipal matters most. I think this is where all the decisions are made that affect us most directly. And I think it's important that we actually start developing our local power in the best ways possible so we can actually stand up with the province, the feds, and whoever, and let them know what we need. As time goes on, we're going to find ourselves facing many, many more challenges. And quite frankly, Sooke is in a position to face those challenges really well. Unlike a lot of other communities, it's got a long tradition with a sense of community. It knows what sense of community is all about. The people that were lucky enough to be born here, well done. Those of us that chose to be here, I think all of us have decided to stay, and it's because of that sense of community. As we grow in the way we are, I think what we need to do are three things. We need to manage our growth wisely in order to maintain that sense of identity. We need to make sure that we have a strong local economy that's diversified and that can support people and jobs that can actually afford homes, and homes that are affordable by those jobs. As it stands, we risk becoming a suburb of Langford, and that's something I don't think most of us want. That's not our vision of Sooke, I don't think, no one in this room. And let's face it, everybody in this room has made a trip out to be part of municipal politics, so hey. I have a double master's in rural planning and development. I'm a local farmer that's helped found a co-op to produce food. I'm a father. And for all those reasons, I want to see Sooke maintained as it is. I want the local economy increased, and I would like to be your councillor. And my name is Tony St. Pierre, and I'm asking for your vote on October 20th.
Hello, my name is Herb Haldane. I've been on council 2 times previous to this date. My parents, they moved here in the 50s. I have a brother and a sister, I have a daughter, and I have a granddaughter locally. I was born in Victoria. I've lived here most of my life. I did spend a couple of years in Vancouver as I worked in the forest industry over there in the late 80s. So I built my first house here in 1989. I've been active in the construction industry pretty much ever since. I'm running for council because I think we're in dire need of some steady leadership in this town. And I do believe there's been a lot of good people come and go from the District of Sooke, but I think in the long and short, it's all about, inclusiveness, and it may sound weird coming from me, but I am an inclusive person, but I do believe that it has to be done in a proper manner. If we delegate responsibilities, councillors feel more worth. When it comes down to these few terms that I've been on council and I've been watching this last term, it doesn't seem like people feel a lot of worth, and you get a lot of dissension, you got a lot of people disagreeing with things. So if you delegate responsibilities and you have committee levels and things like that, you include the public, you include council, you make people feel like they have some value. I think Sooke is in dire need of creating what they used to have basically when I grew up. I'm on a group called the Sooke Community Association right now, and it's a board of directors, and they've been around since the 30s. So I get a lot of leadership experience through these gentlemen in Sooke who've been around for a long time, and it's a legacy. I work at the steak night in Sooke for the Sooke Legion. If you want to come out tomorrow night, I'll be cooking dinner, and I have no problem cooking for you. My wife and I live here in Sooke now, and we've owned a house since 2003, but I do see affordable housing as probably one of my biggest passions here, and I want to try and find a way to get people into houses. Thank you very much. Please vote for me.
Good evening. I'm Peter Jonason. I'm running for Sooke Council, and the reason I'm running for Sooke Council is because I'm concerned about Sooke. I'm concerned about Sooke's growth. I'm concerned about the direction that we're going. I think we need to move forward in a very careful direction. If we're not careful, as Tony mentioned, we could run the risk of becoming a suburb of Langford. I think we're at a crossroads here. Langford's actually running out of room, and the growth is going to be focused here in the near future. I think we need to be very careful with how we move forward. We need to have an OCP that is relevant and does good work for Sooke, and as well helps build up our commercial interests here. Because if we can have jobs for the people here in Sooke, they don't need to leave. They don't need to get on the highway and drive into town every day. I'm pro-Sooke, I'm pro-growth, and I'm pro-business. Please check out my website, Peter for Sooke. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Donnie Eve. It's great to see so many familiar and new faces here tonight. Thank you all for coming. It shows you care enough about the community to inform yourself, and by doing so, you're helping to make this community a better place. I grew up in Sooke, the 5th generation of my family to live here. In those days, one of our big goals was to get out of Sooke. And after graduating from Edward Milne, there weren't a lot of options. I left to work in Victoria, then Regina, before starting university and moving to Ottawa. I got a degree in journalism from Carleton University, stayed in Ottawa with a brief time in Montreal, and then, or working as a reporter and editor. Then I came back to Sooke at least once a year, and every time there was a little more change, a little more growth. Since I came back for good in 1992, we've seen change on a massive level. But one thing that's never changed is Sooke's spirit. There's a combination of qualities that make this place special. It's that small town feel when you go shopping or have coffee and you run into people you know. It's the brightness of the stars at night and a silence only broken by the hoot of a barred owl. It's the beauty of our geography, the harbor and basin, the river and surrounding hills, beaches, forests, and farms. It's a culture where we help the community and each other. If you want something built or done, you roll up your sleeves and you pitch in. Finally, it's Sooke's unpretentious atmosphere. We're not slick and polished, we're still a little rough around the edges. And in that way, are inclusive of people from a very diverse background. Instead of getting out of Sooke, now people want to come to Sooke and stay. I'm running for council because we're at a point where we need dedicated and smart planning and stewardship, thinking beyond ourselves and the short term, envisioning Sooke for generations to come. And doing this without losing the qualities that make Sooke special and have stood the test of time. There will be change, but that's one thing I don't want to see changed. Thank you.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming tonight. It's really nice to see a lot of people here. We don't usually see this many people at a council meeting, so it's nice to know that you're still out there, even though you can't make it to the meeting. So my name is Ebony Logans. My website is ebonylogans.ca. I am a community school coordinator for School District 62, and I'm the athletic director at Edward Milne Community School. I'm also a wedding photographer, so these things do keep me busy, but I do still find the time to be really engaged in council. I've been a councillor for 4 years, and it didn't scare me away. I'm back, and I would love your vote for re-election. I'm really excited about my colleagues up here with me. It seems like we have a chance to have a really great and collaborative council. I'm really excited to see who hopefully I end up working with. I am a big picture thinker, and I do try to think as much as possible about how all the little decisions that we make on council affect those big picture things for every decision that we make. I'd be remiss to choose just a top 3 or a top 10 even list of things that we need to focus on as a community because we're very young. We have a lot to do. And it's a big, big job sitting up here and working on all of those tireless issues. But I'm up for the challenge. So all of these issues that we face are very interconnected. We can't think about growth without thinking about the environment. Oh, that was my first. Oh. That's okay.
That you get more time.
Thanks, Karen. I'm almost done. We can't think about Highway 1 without thinking about development and without thinking about housing needs. We also have to incorporate policing and fire into those thoughts as well. So there's a lot of different angles we need to think of each decision. Last term, I worked hard to be an integral councillor, and I hope to continue to do so. Please vote for me on October 20th. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Jeff Stewart. I'm a lifelong Sooke resident, 44 years. I'm employed as a store manager at Western Foods. I've also served on the inaugural District of Sooke Council upon incorporation in 1999. I got 2 children, 12 and 15. Lane, my son, I coached him in Wanda Fuca lacrosse for multiple years, and the past 7 years I've been coaching my daughter in Sooke soccer. My motivation seeking a seat on this council, value for taxpayers' money, financial responsibility. Working as a manager for one of Sooke's local businesses, I've learned to be a team member, a team builder, and a team leader, as well as respecting the bottom line. As a coach, I've learned patience, hope, and the value of striving for goals. I believe my management skills and municipal experience would be an asset for the next council. I think the biggest issue for the next council is to deliver value for our dollars. Financial responsibility, accountability, and transparency are paramount, and our number one priority should be to hire a chief administrative officer. This leads to my next goal of reconnecting the will of the electorate to the vision of the council to the director of the administration. At present, I feel there's a disconnect, and my goal is to reunite our priorities and move forward in a positive, progressive manner. Our CAO will be key in this. In regards to development, I believe we need to stick to the core values of our community plan and our zoning bylaw to guide development priorities in our rapidly growing bedroom community. I support working with the province to find an alternate route to Highway 14 as well. By supporting my bid for council, you'll be electing a fiscally responsible, progressive thinking municipal councillor. Thank you.
Last but not least, hello, my name is Rick Armour, and I ran in 2002, 2003, 2005, and 2008. I certainly understand Mr. Bateman's situation. In 2008, I narrowly was voted out by less than 100 votes. So yes, I served as council in 2005 to 2008 alongside of Brenda Parkinson and Councillor Casper. I'm 56 years of age, and I work for Lord Auto Parts. I've been there for 21 and a half years as a territory salesman. I also have lived in Sooke for the last 24 years. While I was on council, I chaired the 2010 Olympic Paralympic Games Life Site Committee, which was responsible for the building of the Sooke Boardwalk. I also co-chaired the Economic Development Committee with Councillor Casper, which brought this hotel to Sooke. I've had a long history of work in the community, from the Cops for Cancer Turtle Rock Chair, Safe Halloween Committee Chair, Canada Day Vice President, and also the Marshal of the Canada Day Parade. While I was on council, I was also the Sea Park Commissioner and was responsible for the Youth Drop-In Center at the Community Hall, which I believe is still running today. I've also served with the Royal Canadian Marine Search and Rescue for 7.5 years as a coxswain and a station leader. I believe in honesty, transparency, and integrity, and I'd like to see the vision of the official community plan better utilized, including better access for pedestrians and cyclists throughout our community, as well as revitalizing the waterfront and improving access. I'd just like to say that every vote counts, and I'm looking for your support on October 20th. Thank you.
So I've got the questions here. Some of these questions are for all of the candidates. Some of these questions are for specific candidates. I've got them mixed up all the way through. For the ones that are for all the candidates, we'll be doing a rotation. It's going to start with Al, and I'll be asking with the all candidate questions. I'll be asking 4 candidates to answer 1 question, and they will get 60 seconds to answer that question. I'll be starting with Al, then Phil, Megan, then Rick, and then we'll carry on from there. And it'll just keep looping around so everybody gets a good, a fair shot at answering questions. Some of these questions are 2- and 3-fold, so some of the questions do repeat. So some of you have similar questions to others, so for the sake of time, I'm going to do my best just to eliminate ones that seem to be duplicate questions. And the first question is for all the candidates. So again, this is going to go, Al, you will be first, then Phil, then Megan, then Rick. And the question is, as per the district plans, when will the sewage collection system be installed on Billings Spit?
That's a good one, yes. Actually, I don't know exactly when it is. I know Billings Spit is in the plan, and we've just had some recent difficulties with making sure that our capacity, I think we're at 60% now, that we will be able to handle it. So I would think that in the original plan, Billings Spit area is going to be one of the first ones up, and the big question is going across the river, and I believe that's being worked on as we speak.
Thank you.
Thanks. It would actually be a sham for me to give you an answer because I don't know. So I'm going to have to go home tonight and do my homework in this regard. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll echo the same sentiment. I'm not going to pretend like I'm the expert on it. So in the same capacity, I'll be looking into it and researching. So then when we get presented with the proposals and when I've done my own research and I'm grounded in it, then I would comment on it at that time.
Well, I guess that leaves me to give an educated answer, not to show disrespect. Council has given approval in principle to looking at extension of the sewer to the Sooke First Nation Reserve Number 2 lands in the Whiffen Spit area. The council is considering looking at other aspects to that extension. Before doing that, we have to get some facts as to how much it's going to cost to do any expansion. We're at 70% capacity. We need to get a good handle on how we can handle the growth that may come from expansion, but more importantly, to serve the properties that are already in the existing sewer specified area. Billing Spit hasn't even come onto the radar screen.
The next question again is for all candidates. So this next question is going to go to Brenda Parkinson, then Jeff Bateman, Tony St. Pierre, and then Herb Haldane. And the question is, have you read the official community plan, our guiding document, and will you support a full review of the OCP with full public input, yes or no?
Yes or no? Well, I guess that would be yes.
I'm just reading it.
You can elaborate.
Am I allowed to elaborate? I would like to say this evening, my husband just asked me, have you read the OCP? And I told him, yes, I have. I've read each part, but not in sequential order. And I am all in favor of our review of the OCP. Thank you.
Yes, I have read the 2010 OCP along with the 1980 regional plan, which you can find in the reference section of the library. And yes, absolutely, it's a requirement of the the Local Government Act that we review these community plans every number of years. On average, it's 10 years between in other communities, so we're going to come up to that average. And I'll speak more about this in my closing comments. Thank you.
I've looked at sections of the OCP. I have not read the document in its entirety. Having said that, I do have a planning background, and it's specifically in participatory planning and community engagement. So I believe that the OCP needs to be reviewed. It needs to be reviewed in a situation where everybody has as much input as possible using the best systems possible. Otherwise, we just don't have a good living document. The other thing that I'm concerned about with OCPs in general as a planner is not something that happens necessarily in Sooke, I'm going to say, but does happen, and that's the document ends up being done at great cost, but then sitting on a shelf. The document has to be translated into bylaws. The bylaws need to be enforced. The document needs to be alive and well.
Yes, I've read the, excuse me, sorry about that. I've read the document from front to back dozens of times. The only underlying problem I see with the pre-existing document that we have right now is that it says you can do everything and then you can do nothing. So it contradicts itself in so many places in there. So if planning staff is expected to use it as some sort of a guide, they can look on page 9 and it says go ahead and do this, and then on page 10 it says we don't require anything for this. Page 12 says we don't allow any of this in this zone, and so on. So until we review it, until we cut out some of the things that are in there right now that basically stop us from being able to do things in a reasonable manner, we run into these roadblocks at council meetings where one side fights against the other and the document itself contradicts what we're applying for. So yes, I'm in definite favor of redoing the documents.
All right. This next question is for Tony St. Pierre. Tony, the Sooke Country Market lacks a permanent location. What ideas do you have for public spaces in the downtown that can accommodate activities like this one?
In the downtown, I'm not familiar with all of the land assets the municipality has. I do know that the permanent site for the farmers market would actually allow local economic development to happen, given that craftspeople, artisans, various local business people could actually have a venue to sell their wares year-round. I had considered at one point space over by the liquor store, but that doesn't seem to be possible. It's under development. I think that we need to find a space, but my preferred space might actually be to look at the waterfront and waterfront development. Because if we had a farmer's market, some restaurants and so on and so forth in that area, it could start acting as a keystone for some good ecotourism. Thank you.
Again, this is an all candidates question, and so to start it off, we're going to go first with Peter Jonathan. Peter, did I say your name right?
Yes.
Oh, thank you, sir. Okay, Donnie Eve, then Ebony Logans, and then Jeff Stewart. And the question is, how will you address the needs of how to house and how to, sorry, I am reading people's writing, so just please forgive me on that. The needs of people, homeless people in our communities. So how will you address the needs of poor and homeless people in our community?
I don't have a direct answer for that, but I'd love to approach the idea and work with some of the other nonprofit groups that already do this type of thing. And I think we could create committees, a committee that should involve a lot of these people on it and approach different ideas as how we can make that work. Because it's a huge issue, it's getting bigger, and it's definitely something that needs to be looked into.
Thank you for the question. Addressing the homeless community, there are opportunities with provincial and regional funding to help bring modular supportive housing to the community. I think Sooke needs to get on board to make sure they get their fair share of that. There was recently some modular housing delivered to Nanaimo for Tent City. And you need to do more than just housing. It can't just be a roof. It has to have the social supports. It has to have the medical supports. And with the upcoming new primary care health service center, that will help to bring in some of those health services. There's also, I know Councillor Loggins is probably going to mention it, but there's an affordable housing committee that she chairs, and it's underway right now, and they have some plans to do, the first step is a needs assessment, and I think we also need to define what is affordable housing going to look like, where will it be located, and who will it be for, and that will help also to include the homeless population and the most vulnerable who need supportive housing.
Thank you for the question. As Donnie mentioned, I do chair the Affordable Housing Committee. That's a committee I started earlier this year. And we luckily got approval to move forward on hiring a consultant, and hopefully the RFP will go out in December. That will be up to the new council, but we want it to go out right away. The province of BC will soon be mandating that we do a needs assessment for affordability in our communities, and that will include looking at homelessness and other means of housing. We want to be one of the first communities to jump on this, so we want to start before the government mandates us to, so that we have a strong idea of what needs are specific to Sooke. And along with that, we do need strong social support, so as a local government, we need to support our nonprofits in supporting the homeless population in our community.
Okay, half a second. My understanding is the province has got modular housing ready and available. The opportunity for the municipality is to identify land to put those modular houses. And what that takes is neighbors who are willing to be beside that property and not complain about it. That's where I'm at.
Thank you. This next question goes to Donnie Eve and Rick Casper. Should you both get elected on a critical vote during a council meeting, are you going to block vote, or will you each vote based on your own individual feelings and judgments? I ask this because it is my understanding I'm new, you are husband and wife. Rick, would you like to go first?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a great question. Is there any man here or a husband or someone who has a spouse or a married partner that actually takes instruction from or gives instruction to their wife? Like, put up your hands. All the men who give instruction to their wives. Well, that doesn't happen. And as you can see, my wife is a free thinker. I married her for that reason 26 years ago. She speaks her mind as I speak my mind. We may disagree on a number of things, but what we do agree on is what we all can do to benefit Sooke and to make it a great community.
And just to add to that, you know, we're not a matching jacket kind of couple. So there will be times, if I am elected and Rick is elected and we're both elected and we're both on council, there will be times that we vote the same. If you look at council voting record now, a vast majority of those votes are unanimous. So that means everybody's voting the same. You take the issue at the time, you consider what's in the best interest of the community, and you apply your individual perspective. And I can assure you I will do that. And there will likely be times we don't agree on everything. We will have different perspectives. We will bring different points of view to bear. But I can't, but there's no plan to block vote with anybody at this table.
Thank you. We're going back to an all-council candidates question. So we'll start off with Rick, then we'll go back over to Al, Phil, and then Megan. Okay, so how will you, if elected, assist or contribute to ensure Sooke's growth is managed?
Well, ideally, the answer to that question is the official community plan, which we've all mentioned. That document needs to be reviewed almost immediately. That'll give us the vision of the people of Sooke, where we're going to go and how it's going to look. That document becomes a bylaw, and therefore we can enact the zoning bylaws. It's not rocket science. It just needs to be roll up your sleeves and get the work done. And I know that all of my fellow candidates here are all eager to get on that plan. So that would be my goal. Get the OCP done ASAP. Thank you.
Yes. Are they? Oh, okay. Yes, the OCP is certainly the guiding influence for any of those zoning changes. I like to think each one's individual and that we have to look at them under their own merits. We have to get public consultation and gather the facts to what is the best choice for Sooke. And that can be very difficult, and that involves getting consensus from the council and a council that works together as a team to do it right. Because if it's wrong, we have it forever. Thank you.
We must invest in our community's future means believing in what Sooke can be and turning that potential into reality. When it comes to our roads and transportation systems and overall efficiency, we must have a comprehensive and proactive plan rather than relying on a reactionary scramble. And by acting in the moment whenever possible, we will create, I believe, a cleaner, greener, and healthier community for our present and our future.
Karen, can you say the question again?
Yes. How will you, if elected, assist and contribute to ensure Sooke's growth is managed?
Okay, so with the OCP, I do think it should be reviewed. I don't think it should be entirely rewritten. There's been a lot of wasted time and money on that. It is a fluid document, and it does need to adapt to the growth that Sooke is experiencing and will continue to experience. Sooke as a community is a diverse spectrum of different people, businesses, and beliefs. There is a way to review and grow that document that flatters and complements what Sooke already is. There's an aesthetic branding that Sooke should really be targeting. And I think if you have a group of council who are focused on what is best for Sooke and what reflects the community, past Sooke, new Sooke, it's all Sooke, then that's what I'm shooting for.
Thank you. This is, again, an all candidates question, so it's going to go to Rick, then Brenda, Jeff, then Tony. It's regarding the Billings Spit area. Billings Spit is in desperate need of potholes and road repair. When is that going to happen, and when are the sewers coming?
Oh boy. The District of Sooke Council last year and had actually hired an engineering firm to actually do an assessment of our roads and listed a number of roads with priority as far as work to be done on them and improvements made. We inherited a lot of roads that were managed and operated by the Ministry of Transportation Highways, and sadly, there hasn't been enough investment over the years. So we're dealing with that on as needed basis, but we've set aside money in this budget and in future budgets to do more work. Sewers, we have other priorities in the core center because there were people who paid $2.4 million to buy into the sewer, and we have not serviced all of those properties, plus all the people that have been paying in the service area right now. So we do have priorities there.
Sooke is working on the 5-year road improvement project, and we have selected roads at this present time that we're working on. So each year, $700,000 goes to improving all the roads. I do not know where Billings Spit is on the list, but there is a list concerning all of this. We also approved the master transportation plan. So we are looking for a consultant to work on that. And in regards to sewers down on Billings Spit, I, for one, would like to see them down in that area. I think that the water is too close to all the industrial zones that are down there, and all the apartments and the modular homes and all that. And I think that area needs to be worked on. And when we were previously on council, that was one of the primary areas.
Yes, Brenda's right about the 5-year road improvement plan. That area will be likely, very likely, is on that. I know Whiff and Spit Road is on year 3 of that plan. In terms of sewage, yeah, that's a really interesting idea. Liquid wastewater management plan of 2010 indicated that Whiff and Spit North, which is going ahead, and the Kaltassin area were the 2 top priorities for the next phases of expansion. And in 2010 dollars, it would cost $5 million to get the sewers across the river. And there's all sorts of upsides, beginning with OCP priority number 1, which is environmental health. We got to keep the harbor safe. Those Kaltassin properties, there's density there, they're aging septic fields. We have the First Nation, we have the Butler Brothers property, we have 2 schools over there, all on septic fields. Brian Butler told me he would definitely improve that light industrial park if he got sewers over there. And that would be a great source for, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
I have a slightly different perspective to offer in terms of the sewers, and that's simply that once the infrastructure goes in at a cost of $5 million, it also makes it more likely that the modular homes and the trailer parks and so on and so forth that are there, providing affordable housing, we actually have some affordable housing, might be gone soon as things get gentrified. And so I think we have to be really careful about what we ask for. We want those sewers, but do we want everything that comes with the sewers? Do we want all the stuff that comes with the sewers? As soon as you put in the infrastructure, it begs for more development to pay for that infrastructure to make it worthwhile. The only way for a city to make things work is to actually have a tax base based on property taxes that makes use of its infrastructure and densifies.
Thank you. This question's for Al. Regarding the food bank, what can you do to facilitate space of 2,000 square feet out of the community hall basement?
Well, presently the space there is working, but just barely. I would like to see the food bank partner with maybe some service clubs and have a building that can be utilized for both. I know in Sydney, the Lions Club out there actually runs the food bank, and they provide the facilities. Sooner or later, it's going to have to move out of the community hall. It's very difficult to do it from that location, and I'd like to see us have a solution there. Thank you.
This is for Rick Casper, Ebony Logans, and Brenda Parkinsons, who are incumbent councillors. Under what circumstances would you vote against a request that the Sooke Nation makes to defer a vote on development variance permits so they could have time to review it and provide input? And under what circumstances do you feel it's acceptable to waive Sooke District Policy 9.1, land use activities contrary to current bylaws and resolutions, that reads, policy statement, council will not consider any development approvals for any property where an illegal land use activity currently exists on the property. Therefore, any land use activity that is contrary to any bylaw or regulation must cease before an application to legitimize it can be used by the district. Wow, that was a good one. But I think you guys know what this means, right?
The, as far as reference to Sooke Nation, we do that as a courtesy. The only time that a municipality is legally required to consult is when we do official community plan reviews. That's in provincial legislation. The municipality is not a level of government as defined by the Constitution. Province and federal government are mandated to consult with our First Nations. We do it as a courtesy because we have a relationship, we have an agreement with the Sauk Nation and the municipality, and so we refer matters to them. I'm not going to ask you to repeat that other question because it's too long.
Okay.
And our council did actually deliberate on that matter, so.
So when it comes to the First Nations having a say on what our development process is, we send it out to them. During the past 4 years, we have only had one request from them to ask us to hold down on going forward with one of the projects. As a city councillor, I made the motion that we defer the motion and that we wait to hear back from the First Nations. That was defeated, so that did not happen. I think that having our MOU, our Memorandum of Understanding with the First Nations, we have to work together and we have to give them the opportunity to have a say in what goes on in the community. Oh, it's not you, sorry.
And Ebony.
Sorry.
Thank you.
So you still have
Great question. The second part of the question, I'm going to leave that to you all to watch the 3-hour debate that happened, but I did vote against that. In the first part of the question, this one weighs heavily on me because I don't think we've done nearly enough as a council or as a district to work with our First Nations. I voted alongside Councillor Parkinson. Sorry, it's hard to concentrate. We have 30 seconds. I voted along with Councillor Parkinson to pause our decision-making, to step back and think and wait for information to come from the DFO and from our First Nations, and Council voted against that. So I'm really disappointed that that happened. It's now going to come back to Council for the same reason that Councillor Parkinson and I wanted it to, which would be to come back and have that information in front of us so we can make an informed decision. I hope that the next council, whoever you vote in, includes the First Nations.
Okay, we're going into an all candidates question. We're running very tight on time now. We've got a few minutes left. So this is going to Herb, then Peter, Donnie, Ebony. That's 4. So that's who it's going to. The question is, what will you do to move, if you don't mind, Ebony, you've had some time on the floor. Do you mind if I skip past you for this question?
Skip away.
Can you do that? Because I just want to give Jeff and Rick some more time.
Totally up to you.
Is that okay? Okay. So we're going to go Herb, Peter, Donnie, and Jeff. And the question is, what will you do to move Sooke towards a fossil-free economy?
I don't think there's anything I can do to move Sooke towards a fossil-free economy. It sounds like a federal issue, and at very least provincial, given the fact that we're not going to let tankers and pipelines go through our province. So for me personally, to be able to do something on council to fossil-free, I don't think there's anything that I can do. I'm okay. I drive a truck every day because I have to carry lumber to a job site, and I have to get tradesmen to a job site who do drywall, who do roofing and stuff, and I don't see how they can do that in some sort of a wagon with pulling it by a goat. So.
I too don't believe we can necessarily do it at this level, but we certainly can make initiatives and try to encourage more people to do more solar, wind power, wave power, stuff like that. I'd love to see us encourage groups that want to do that or partner up with other groups, particularly the First Nations. But for actually on council making that happen, I don't think we can do that.
Hi, I know that council had put out an RFP for electric vehicle charging stations, so that's one step that was made, and I think that's one that I support. I agree with Peter. I think it's really up to other groups to bring those initiatives forward, and maybe as a councillor, we can help in that community engagement to make sure that people are aware of what the options are, help with maybe some of the research, see what their options are. We may not get there in our lifetime, but there's a lot we can do to support getting there.
Everybody took all the good stuff already there, so I don't have much more to add. I guess at the development level, you just have to push the modern options, solar power, that kind of stuff. So make that. I know the technology is slowly becoming more affordable, but that's about all I got to offer there.
I've got one more question. I'm going to give Rick, he's the only person that's been shorted, so I'm going to ask him this question. It's for all candidates, but I'm going to ask Rick. I'm so sorry I had
That's
my
okay.
back to you
Bring
the
it
whole
on.
time.
Bring it on.
Okay, so Rick, with all the smart growth being planned, how do you equally plan to keep the wild spaces that surround Sooke intact and healthy?
Great question. I just actually answered that question today for a community group called Howl. Parks and Trail Master Plan was just adopted for the review in 2019, and I believe that's going to be council's second or third agenda on the table. When I was the Sea Park Commissioner, I recognized how valuable our parks and our trail system is. I think we need to focus on maintaining those parks and trails, expanding them as well. Along with that comes the DFO riparian options around the waterways. So I think it's just a focused direction and make sure that we are aware of the fact that we are neighbors with our green space and our animals and our trees. And yeah, that's my thought.
Okay, thank you very much. So round of applause to the candidates. Apparently they get closing statements, yes. So they get 3 minutes each for a closing statement. We're going in reverse order now. So we're going to start with Rick, and we're going to move down towards Al. So Rick, you're up.
So in closing, I just want to remind everybody that every vote does count. There's a couple of members up here that have run in past elections and have narrowly escaped the opportunity to get on council. And we've decided to put ourselves back into the ring. It's hard work, it's valuable work, it's cherished work, it's work that I want to do again. My term back in 2005 and 2008 was probably one of the most rewarding opportunities of my life, next to giving birth to my children and my grandchildren. I see, yeah, not me personally, thank you. Yeah, that'll go down in history. I think Sooke, well, I've always felt Sooke has had a beautiful future opportunity. I don't think we've made any mistakes. We've had some growing pains, and I think you've got a very good group of representatives here to go forward in the next 4 years, and I hope that I'm one of them. Thank you.
First off, I'd like to extend my respect to my fellow candidates who are running in this election, be it mayor or council. I appreciate your civic pride and willingness to step up, and good luck in next Saturday's election. Living in Sooke all my life, I offer perspective. Where we've been, where we are now, where do we want to be in the future? Being a member of Sooke's First Council has given me valuable experience in building a municipality from the ground up. I have insight into hiring senior municipal staff as well. Working with our first mayor, Ed McGregor, taught me the value of diplomacy. As a long-term store manager at Western Foods, I've gained insight into the wants and needs of all Sooke residents as customers and on a personal level. I think my combination of experiences, along with my personal feelings of civic responsibility, would make me a valuable member of the next council. I will strive to keep Sooke safe and affordable for seniors, youth, and families. On October 20th, a vote for Jeff Stewart will be a vote for a positive, progressive thinking, fiscally responsible municipal councillor. Thank you.
Thank you all for sitting and listening to us, and I hope you enjoy the mayoral debates after us. I'm very glad that you're here, and one of my biggest hopes, aside from getting on council, is that you all go out and bring a friend to vote with you on October 20th. If you vote for me, Ebony Logans, I would appreciate that too. But please do bring someone out to the ballots. I didn't mention earlier, but I was born and raised in Sooke. I grew up here, I graduated here, and I moved away. And I went all over the province and I came back. A couple of years ago, I sat in a room with 70 leadership students at Edward Milne Community School, and I asked them, how many of you will be leaving Sooke or want to leave Sooke or plan to leave Sooke when you graduate? And all but 3 raised their hands. And I was kind of disappointed, but then I asked them, how many of you are planning to return? And every single one of them raised their hands. Sorry, a little emotional. But that's why we're here. That's why I'm here. Same reason as them. It's great to go out into the world, gain your experiences, and come back, and also create a space for your family here, whether or not you choose to leave. My goal here is to make Sooke a really great place for those people to stick around, for people to grow their families, and for people who have done so to remain here and be able to downsize into affordable housing and enjoy the natural environment here as well. So please, on October 20th, vote for me, Ebony Logans. I will continue to work with integrity and read all of my hundreds of pages of documents so that I can make informed decisions on your behalf. Thank you.
Thanks everyone for coming. Picture for a moment what Sooke will look like 25 years from now. I see a dynamic downtown hub of restaurants, brew pubs, shops, and artisans clustered in the downtown core with access to the harbor. Sidewalks and trails connect to residential areas. There are kids on bikes, parents pushing strollers, people walking or on scooters. They feel safe and are excited about going to school or connecting with their community to shop or get a bite to eat. There are recreational spaces and options for families, youth, and seniors. In neighborhoods, people are outside working in their yard, kids are playing, people walk their dogs. We have green spaces pocketed and woven throughout the residential areas, surrounded by thriving farms and gardens in the rural areas. And if you don't live within walking distance to shops and service, there's a community bus to pick you up. If you drive, there's a bypass connector so traffic isn't jammed along the highway. We have a thriving arts community and ongoing investment in culture and heritage. There are economic opportunities generated by our community's assets and strengths, things like sport fishing and derbies, youth sport tournaments that bring in hundreds of families each year during non-peak tourist times, ongoing arts festivals and events, and adventures on the ocean and in the wilderness, manufacturing such as boat building or creating modular homes. We strive to keep citizens healthy and promote healthy living, and there are services to treat us when we are ill or injured. There are supportive spaces for the most vulnerable in our community and housing that's not out of reach for families, youth, and seniors. We have an ongoing dialogue between the district and community so we can be sure that limited tax dollars are being spent on community priorities. This is the future for Sooke I'd like to see and that I'll work for. And if you feel the same, I welcome your vote for me, Donnie Eve. Thank you.
Thanks for being here tonight. I love Sooke. That's why I'm sitting up here today. That's why we're all here today. I'm pro-Sooke, I'm pro-growth, the right kind of growth, and pro-business. We definitely need to get an OCP in place that's updated, modern, that includes smart growth, and that's sustainable. That also includes commercial growth, so we can build up some commercial taxation to pay for all the fun stuff we're gonna have to be paying for in the near future. We can build up our tourism, which is also part of the commercial growth. I would like the opportunity to work with a progressive group to keep Sooke great. I'm also proud to be sitting up here with all these folks that have Sooke's best interest in mind. Peter for Sooke, thank you.
Thank you. As far as I'm concerned, I think we have a housing crisis in our community, so we need to change the zoning bylaw to be able to embrace affordable housing such as manufactured home parks and tiny homes and some amenity areas that can help out for people who have smaller lots and smaller properties. We need to upgrade the sewer system, commercial and industrial needs that we've been needing for a long time. People are looking for local shopping, local bus service. This lowers traffic going into Langford and around our town. We need to do smart growth principles, which is to have nodal developments in some of the subdivisions that we create, so you can buy some stuff locally and walk to the store and so on. District can sponsor co-op rental housing to meet market needs, create an industrial tech park to attract businesses and needs of the future. And let's face it, we need to think of business outside of construction as our way of making a living in this community. For the record, when I was 6, I started elementary school with Donnie Eve's brother. I walked to school after Donnie told Dino and I what to do and when to do it. She was 10 at the time and very scary to us 6-year-olds. But I assure you that I am over it now, and like Rick, I will now vote with my conscience and without her influence going forward.
I will add to Herb's some offices for telecommuting. Would be nice. I think that affordable housing is really what we need to be looking for in this community. Part of the reason for affordable housing is that Affordable housing means that you can actually potentially have people staying at home and raising their kids. We had a great question about childcare at EMCS today. And if I didn't get a chance to answer, but I had a good answer, and you're getting it now. All right. I live on a farm. We have several people there. We have kids that are being homeschooled. We have the opportunity to provide those kids with an amazing amount of adult care, and we don't need childcare. I have the opportunity to run for council because we do not have expensive homes. This is critical. Sooke is looking at, it's a volunteer culture. We have all kinds of volunteers, but the volunteers are aging out. Who's going to step in? People with a $500,000 mortgage? I don't think so. We need affordable housing to maintain Sooke as Sooke is. So I would say that that's one of the more critical issues in terms of maintaining Sooke's identity and the way that we like it. I also think that it's important to consider local municipal power versus provincial and federal. Now, often we tend to disempower ourselves with regards to other levels of government, but the fact is we have the ability with local people, local strengths, and local solutions to try and do our own thing anyway. That's one of the things that transition towns do. They try and set up new ways of doing things so that if things fail at those levels, there are networks to take the load. That's something that local municipalities can do as well. Now, often we are restricted by the charter and other such things, but we can actually do more in that direction. And we need to exercise those muscles and be as strong as we can be as a municipality in the future. Because for sure, the federal levels and the provincial levels do not care about Sooke as we do. That's all there is to it. Name's Tony St. Pierre, and I hope you vote for me on October 20th.
Okay, I've prepared 3 minutes here, so brace yourself. Yes, like others are saying, it's great to be up here with people who care about the community, and it's great to have you all in the house tonight. I've prepared some talking points, but I'll first like to answer a couple of the questions that I didn't get a chance to earlier. The question of growth should not be left to developers and market forces. It needs to be defined by the community will in the OCP. And I think we need to do that. The Sooke Country Market folks did seek a piece of Lot A, and there's a Lot A charrette coming up next year that will give them an opportunity to get a piece of that district land. Though I agree with Tony, there's other great places, waterfront, absolutely. We have a climate, energy, and emissions plan here in Sooke. There are all sorts of green initiatives happening already, and we need to jump in the deep end more. There are grants out there that we can tap into. And in terms of wildlife, coexisting with carnivores, working with Project Howl, are identifying wildlife corridors right here in town, and those that information and research needs to be appended into our planning process to ensure that there is safe passage. So my campaign slogan this time, as he starts reading his prepared notes, is a pause that refreshes. And my thinking is that Sooke is in danger of losing its effervescence and turning a little flat now that we've become Vancouver Island's second fastest growing municipality. We're at a crossroads. Either we continue allowing upzoning outside the town center and in the process reinforcing our motor city status with unsafe secondary roads and too much volume on Highway 14. Or, and here's where my slogan kicks in, we press pause as best we can. We recognize that there are already several thousand pre-approved building lots in town that have yet to break ground and which equate to at least 4,000 new residents. We refresh the vision of this and past generations embedded in our OCP, and only then do we move forward with a renewed master plan. As I see it, there are four main threads in plans, that 1980 plan and the current plan. A modestly dense harborside village center, light industrial activity east of Sooke River Road, a commercial node in Casinos, and preservation of our wildlife, wilderness and rural lands elsewhere. If elected, I'd push for, that's 30 seconds, for three immediate priorities. A new CAO, let's hunt the ideal candidate and get it right this time. OCP refresh, bring it home. Tap citizen expertise with an expanded range of select, standing, and advisory committees. We need your input, expertise, and energy to move this district forward. I fancy myself a mediator with a quick mind and good communication skills who's now run out of time. Good night. Thank you. Vote for Jeff Bateman.
Good job. Good job. My vision for Sooke is to have a cohesive council who will work well together. Whether we agree or whether we disagree, we need to be respectful of one another to be able to accomplish what needs to be done for our community. Council needs to work with staff. We need to know what departments they work in, what their jobs are, and how we can help them, and how they can help us. We need to respect one another and work as a team. Once this is accomplished, we need to hire a CAO. We need to determine what qualities and experiences we are looking for in this person, and what process we shall be taking to fulfill this need. Lot A, we need to make sure the library gets underway. We have been waiting quite some time for this to start. We need to look at putting up the seniors youth complex on the property, maybe putting the new healthcare facility there as well. Turn Lot A into a gathering place for the residents. Let's have our marketplace there. Let's have it during the evenings and during the Saturdays. It has become clear that we need to update our official community plan. We need to decide on what process and where that process begins. And we need to start this at the beginning of the next term, not during the middle of it. The district needs to promote what we already have, including the Sooke Philharmonic and the Sooke Fine Arts Show. And we need to bring more tourists into our town. We need to promote festivals. We need to bring a variety of conferences back to Sooke. Previously, we had held numerous conferences here, and they seem to have waned. We need to bring this back for the economic vitality of our community. We desperately need parking downtown in our town core. We need signage showing tourists when they arrive in town where there's a place for them to park instead of them driving through and carrying on. I would like to see a hop-on, hop-off bus service for the residents of Sooke, which could take them to their medical appointments or take them shopping or take them so they can go out for lunch with their friends. We need to create the Seniors and Youth Center. That is a must. We need more commercial business in our town, such as a satellite campus and increasing the high-tech industry. There is so much that we can do in our community, and I would be honored to work on bringing these suggestions forward. I truly enjoy being a councillor with the District of Sooke. I am passionate about advocating for our needs of our community. It has been my pleasure to listen and to answer your questions this evening. I am available to answer any other questions that you may have after the mayor's debate. On October 20th, please vote for me. Please vote for Brenda Parkinson as your full-time councillor.
Yeah, I've had the honor and privilege of working with 3 councils and 3 separate mayors. And even though there are occasions when we all don't agree on everything, but when we leave those meetings, we let democracy take its place and move on. As mentioned earlier, the vast majority of decisions are actually unanimous. Very few occasions do we have recorded votes where a negative position is stated and is wanted to be recorded. I feel that we can't lose sight of our future, and that's our youth. But more importantly, the young families that are going to continue to move here. That bridge that we all cross on a daily basis, it's not a drawbridge. It doesn't stop people from coming here. We have to recognize that. This community's been a welcoming community, and I know from a lot of the people who are here today, you were not from here. You came from somewhere else. And this community welcomed you over the decades. And what we have to ensure is that we don't lose what we all value, why we all came here, and why we want to stay here. I think that's critical for all of us. And some decisions aren't going to be easy ones. And whoever's elected, and I think we've got a great group of people here. I'd be honored to serve with any of them, as I have with the others. But there will be some tough decisions. There will be agonizing moments. And you're going to say, gee whiz, should I really have done this? But deep down inside, you'll never lose sight of why you ran in the first place, and that was to help make this community better. I want to make sure that our senior center gets built. I want to make sure there's housing opportunities for our seniors, affordability for young families who will come here, and more importantly, that our youth don't have to leave here in order to find an affordable place to live. Thank you very much for your time, and get out and vote. Thank you.
I am a millennial, an elder millennial, and for me to get engaged, I have not been preparing for this position for the last 4 years. I'm not retired. I have to maintain a full-time job, but I want to stay here. And that choice to make a commitment to be part of council, it didn't come lightly. And the genuine reason behind that is the love for Sooke. It's the Sooke that I grew up with. It's the Sooke that is shaping up. And this time in Sooke's life is its most critical. There is a way to find commonalities between completely different walks of life, beliefs, jobs, and there is a way to promote positivity within the community, within the council, and with the staff itself. Sitting here tonight, I've learned a lot from the candidates, and I love that everyone is here for the same reason. They want what's best for Sooke. There is a wide range of issues, but there are some basics that need to come. Affordable housing, there is a stigma with homelessness. That no longer applies nowadays. There are homeless people, they're students. They're university college students, they're high school students. They are people working entry-level positions, including some of my past staff that try to stay working in Sooke, and they have to borrow their parents' RV because they can't get into the housing market, they can't even get into a rental. A balanced approach to growth and economic development, there is a way for Sooke to expand and to support its community and the legacy. So we came from logging and fishing. That's no longer the case. That's not the primary here anymore. Sooke can grow and complement the past while moving forward. There is an aesthetic brand that could happen here. When we have friends that come visit us, they're not really sure if they're in Sooke. Like, what is Sooke? Sooke needs a brand and a vision, like Sydney by the sea. You think of Sydney, you know exactly what that represents. And then the last piece for me is accessible local healthcare. For myself, that eventually will have kids, it's something that keeps me on the fence from staying in Sooke. And as parents that are recently retired and live here, if the road shuts down and an ambulance can't get through here, what's our backup here? What can we do to encourage and promote doctors to come here, stay here, and live here? So I just do want to thank all the candidates tonight. It has actually been a really positive experience for me. And I do hope you vote for me because I represent a large part of the community that's not here and they're not engaged. And so I am the door to the engagement for your legacy in this community, and we'll be the ones that deal with the benefits or the consequences of choices that are made here. So I actively want to participate in the guiding of that. My name is Megan McMath, and I hope you vote for me on October 20th.
To echo Jeff, I too believe that Sooke is at a crossroads, particularly with regards to maintaining and improving its community identity. The influx of new residents, the demands for improved health care, the need to manage the inevitable expansion of population, the need for economic development, and the need to increase the sense of community all point towards one overriding theme. All proposals in all areas must support and build upon the official community plan. I believe that economic development must support existing business and services in such a way as to strengthen the Sooke community concept as well as increase the economic base along with the products and services available in Sooke, thereby increasing both employment and tax revenue potential. Further community planning and development must augment our community concept, not dilute it. In particular, we need developers to commit to an enhanced community approach and not just focus on expansion and profit. The community must be willing to accept the truth that if we are to be akin to our sister town of Sydney by name, that is Sooke by the sea, then an action plan to manage the lands that adjoin the core and the Sooke Basin must be reviewed in order to increase public access and services at the shoreline. Presently, the town is isolated from the seashore at great loss to the sense of community and appeal as a destination. Given the extent of shoreline and the fact that there is minimal tourist and resident attractions adjacent to the ocean is not, I believe, in Sooke's best interests. We have the capability to maximize our potential as a great place to live, a great place to do business, and a great place to visit. If in the near future we don't take advantage of our capacity to make change, I believe we will end up regretting it in perpetuity. In closing, I would like to applaud each and every one of you who have come out for this event. You obviously care about our community or you wouldn't be here. And I am here for the same reason. I care about Sooke. And I am confident that with the right people and the right attitude, we can make positive change happen in our community. Let's take advantage of our potential now. Once again, my name is Phil Rosner, and I humbly ask for your vote on October the 20th. Thank you very much.
Well, this is great going last because we can all take a break after this. Now you've heard from us all, and of course, a lot of us want to see the same things. I think most of us have talked about the same things and the same values. But what do I bring to the table? I've had a lot of experience in getting things done. I've served and I'm serving on a number of boards where consensus and team building are essential. When I was a lay counselor for the Need Crisis and Information Service, I became a trainer in conflict resolution, active listening, and team building. I've been active in the community, co-chairing Canada Day, Christmas Parade, and of late, the musical ride. All take teamwork, all take leadership. It is important that our next council work as a team, set goals and action plans. For the next 4 years, we need a council that can work together, not always agreeing, but able to come to a consensus to get things done. One cannot do it alone. It will take all of us, and teamwork will be essential. I can bring that to council. Sooke is important to me. A lot of problems need to be solved. I'm Al Beddoes, and I want to be part of the solution. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone. That was great. No, we're not taking a break. Nope. We don't have time. But what we are going to ask is that the council candidates nicely leave the stage, and our 3 mayorals are going to come up instead. Okay, we're going to get going. Everybody at their seats. Okay. So again, with the lottery draw, we have got our orders, and again, there will be some specific questions to some candidates, but most of these questions are for all 3 mayoral candidates. The rotation will just go 1, 2, 3. 1 is Kevin, 2 is Maya, 3 is Rick, and we'll just keep it going around. So Kevin is going to start with his 2-minute, then Maya, then Mick, and at the end, when they do their 3-minute, we'll do the reverse of that. So Kevin. Mr. Pearson, it is you, sir. Go.
Thank you.
2 minutes.
Okay, 2 minutes. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight. It's my pleasure to be running for mayor for the District of Sooke. My name is Kevin Pearson. I was born and raised here. I've been here for 61 years. I married my wife 38 years ago. Trudy's in the crowd somewhere. I can't say enough about what we've been able to enjoy as a family here in Sooke. I raised 3 children. They're grown. I have 4 grandchildren who are 5th-generation Sookeites. My message to everyone is I'm vested in Sooke. I want the Sooke to be for them. I'm running for mayor because I'm bringing leadership to the table. In my other role at Canada Post, that most of you know that I work for Canada Post, I've been there for 33 years. I manage 700 employees on a day-to-day basis, and I've been known to be a collaborator and a team leader that brings excellence into the organization. I've been recognized for that across the country. I want to bring that to our community. I hear that we're a bedroom community. That kind of insults me. We're not a bedroom community. Tell somebody who's at the Sooke Fine Arts Fair, tell the hockey players, tell the soccer players, we're a bedroom community? I think not. We're a community. We're a community that thrives. We're a community that has values. Not the values that are in our history, but the past, the present, and the future. So our job on council is really here and now. is to take those values that we've had deeply entrenched in our communities for 100+ years and move it forward. Not for me, but for our children and our grandchildren. I look at their eyes and I want to make Sooke better. But it's not about being Sooke better, it's being about the best that we can be always. We already have the most picturesque place on the planet to live, and I want to entrench that into our values. So on October 20th, I hope you can think about Kevin Pearson at the polls.
Thank you so much for being here this evening. It's wonderful to see you all, and I know you're all here because you care about this community. And our place in government is because of you and what matters to you. And I am proud to serve as your mayor and to stand here before you today. And I am seeking re-election because I care too. Because local government matters, because it's about all of us. And the vision for the future that we have is what we will share and create together. Serving as mayor is more than a job to me. It is my life, and I love it. Last week I was at Journey Middle School, and the Tour de Rock cyclists were welcomed into Sooke by the students there. And the energy was amazing. And I can see the future and the potential in the students and in our children, and the hope and the opportunities that lie ahead. It was amazing. But these same kids are worried about safety, worried about riding their bike on the road, worried about their parents driving on the roads, and about seniors that are at home. And this is something that we need to tackle. And we can do it by effectively maintaining and managing our infrastructure and planning appropriately for the growth and the future that is coming our way. And as we grow, as the second fastest, most busiest community on the island, growth hurts. It can be painful. And so we need to learn now. We're going to be 20 soon as a district. And with that comes maturity. And it's time to take charge of our future instead of letting it happen to us. The future for Sooke is amazing. And I know that it's all about you. The past is comfortable. The future is unknown. But we can do this together. We are stronger together. Let's do it together. Please vote on October 20th, 21-8 for Maya Tate.
Good evening, everybody. Mick Rhodes for mayor. I'm the French alternate candidate. I decided to get into the ring with these two honored individuals. It's a heavyweight class. I guess I'm going to have to punch above my weight class. Let me tell you something about myself. I moved here in 1977 from Calgary. I came out for a friend's wedding, and I stayed. He said, you know, we're not all unemployed here, Mick. You know, you could probably find a job. I spent the first, I call it the first tour of duty when people ask me. I spent 15 years in Sooke, and my occupation was a truck driver. I worked in a lot of camps all around BC. It was quite interesting, the different places, Tumbler Ridge, Caramano, and I was out in the Crow's Nest. So I'm a truck driver, crane driver, and in between jobs in the 80s, I drove for Sooke Taxi. Back in the 80s and the 70s, for that matter, Sooke was, probably half of Sooke was gravel roads, pothole city. It was just something else to see. When I first arrived here, went up to Broomhill Subdivision, my friend John took me up there and we looked around, and it was sort of like the first sidewalks, the first street lights, and I just went, damn, I wished I'd come sooner. Well, I moved away in '92 and I took a career change, and I was, took journalism at Camosun College. And then I worked with a lot of NGOs, public advocacy groups in Victoria. So people remember me from the 80s. I moved to Victoria, I did a whole career change, and I worked with a lot of different groups. So as far as sitting down with committees and trying to work out problems, this and that, it was a matter, get up there, speak your mind, let's get together, let's collaborate, and let's get things done. And it was wonderful experiences. There were setbacks.
Thank you, Mick.
And I hope you vote for me. Check out my website and what have you. It's a 4,500-word essay.
We're going to go into the question period, and it will start with number one with Kevin, then Maya, then Mick. And our first question for, this is for, new candidates for mayor. I guess that skips you, Maya. Actually, you know, let's do all three. It's a really good question. We'll ask all three of you. What are your top 3 priorities for Sooke? Kevin.
Pretty straightforward. We heard it from the council, the councillors that are running. Number one is to get a CAO and a leader into place that brings the community together, that starts the process of forming a good government. We're like a ship without a rudder, and we need to put that in place, and we need to put it in place now. The OCP, our guiding document, we need to refresh that. It has to be done immediately. We have to value what it is that we want in our community, and the world's changed. So 10 years ago when the OCP was written, things like farmland weren't as important as they are today. So they've always been important, but we need to move that forward. And the third thing is that the mayor has to show leadership. So my priority is to form committees that includes members of the public, members of council, and that we move the good governance ahead.
Here's some good news, you three. Because we're not passing around the mic, you can just hold your mic instead of holding the whole stand if you want, if it's more comfortable for you. Yeah. Yeah. Yay.
All right.
That's how we roll around here.
Yeah, that's way more convenient. So in no particular order, 3 priorities. Number 1, orientation for council. Let's get outside together. Let's go and see the fire trucks. Let's talk to the fire crew. Let's go and talk to the police department. Let's see what that looks like. Let's visit our sewage wastewater treatment plant and look under the microscope at the very interesting critters that are hard at work for us every day when we flush those toilets. Let's talk to our park staff. What are they seeing out there? What are they picking up out there? Let's find this out. Orientation, relationships with staff. None of what we do is possible without engaging staff, without them being a part of this. So number 2, a healthy, respectful, trusting relationship with staff. And number 3, public engagement. We are here to serve you. So what does that look like? How do we bring you in? My way of doing it was maybe a bit too formal, a bit too square. I know I'm a bit of a square. It happens. We need new ideas from councillors. What does that look like for open houses, online survey, all of that? 3 things.
Thank you, Maya. Mick?
3 top priorities. Well, number 1, a waterfront, Central Park in Sooke. We can celebrate our 20th anniversary. All we got to do is get our heads together. All of us here. Let's put our heads together and we could make that waterfront park a reality. You can go to my website. Check out what I put down. There's the Sooke Pocket News. I wrote 2 letters. Waterfront Central Park. It can be done. You want to know why? The government announced 90% funding for recreational infrastructure building. 90%. The feds and the province will chip in 90%. We're halfway there. Let's swap Lot A. Let's swap Lot A with the new owners. I'll get back to it. Number 2, let's lower the speed limit to 40 kilometers. Let's make it safe for everyone in this community. I could go on. And I'm saying, put a cap on new housing starts.
Thank you. Our next question is for all mayoral candidates, and we will start with Maya, to Mick, and then to Kevin. What do you plan on doing with respect to community emergency preparedness in the event of the anticipated catastrophic earthquake? Maya.
Thank you. Emergency services are vital to us. I think what we've realized is that we have had the 2nd worst season of fires in BC history. Following an earthquake is fire, and I find it terrifying. Reaching out and supporting our emergency services that are on the floor every day and night, 24/7 for all of us is important. What support can we help them with? How do we attract and recruit new volunteers? What are they seeing? What do they need? How can we also support their families? Because time that they're away out of the home is time away from their family. And family is important for them to succeed in what they do. There's a lot that has been done already with earthquake. A lot of it's been started. We need to continue on the work, but let's remember that our biggest threat right now, coming next year, is fire.
All right. Favorite line for me is earthquakes don't shake me none. Okay, as I understand, we do have CCANs placed around Sooke and everything, which has emergency supplies, this and that. I see them here and there, but sometimes I'm not really sure where mine is. And but I suppose maybe a lot of you probably don't know either. Maybe we should have a public education program again to remind everybody that with an earthquake, we're going to look after things. As far as preparedness goes, I'd say, well, I think I'd probably have to check with my District of Sooke professional staff and say, could you bring me up to date on what kind of preparations we do have for earthquakes? And I'm sure what I learned from them, I could probably add a few further things that we could do. Thank you.
Well, I think first and foremost, we have to engage the professionals that are in organizations out and around the province, the Provincial Emergency Preparedness Program. In my other role, I have a very active plan in place, but really the plan is to be prepared, and everyone has to take the ownership for themselves in emergency situations. We have some critical places that we have to look after, and we have to trust that our resources at that time will be stretched to the maximum. We have places like Ayr Manor, places like that need that immediate care, and for the rest of us, our role in local government is to educate, and make sure that people are prepared for the very worst possibility that can be out there. So there's no magic solution, but we have to be prepared for the very much unexpected.
This next question is for Maya. Regarding handicap access to businesses, how did with major renos that have happened, there's no handicap doors and there's inadequate entrance spaces for, I'm guessing, wheelchairs on this.
Thank you. That's very unfortunate to hear at a time when accessibility is so important. When we can move anyone through the walker, it also means we can push a stroller through the same place. And so by denying access to anyone with mobility issues, we're also cutting off our families at the same time. Recently, the District of Sooke received accreditation through the Rick Hansen Foundation. We can now be a model of what accessibility looks like and begin work with our local businesses to find out what options are now available to them, how they can improve their businesses so that no one is left behind and we're all included.
Thank you. This next one is for all mayoral candidates. The CAO revolving door Sooke has experienced is not only costly, there's an associated loss of corporate knowledge. What will you do to ensure there is a rigorous hiring process in place for the next batch of candidates? And Mick, we'll start with you.
That's an interesting one, the CAO. I've actually looked at the council minutes, looked at the tapes too, but my research, I've read the last 10 years of the council minutes. Last 10 years, skimming through, skipping some areas. But as far as CAOs and all of the other municipal staff that have rotated through, we seem to have quite an attrition rate. With the CAO, I'm proposing that the next CEO we hire probably should be somebody that's local, that knows the issues of this town. And as far as the CEO's salary, I think with Ms. Sullivan, her salary was $140,000, and that was salary plus expenses. $140,000, I'm proposing that maybe we can find a suitable CEO for $90,000. We've saved $50,000, and then here's one for you. I'm saying give the mayor a $10,000 raise out of that money, and give each of the councillors a $5,000 raise.
Me? Yeah. How do you follow that? I think the CAO is a critical role to be a partner with the mayor and the council. It's it's no secret that CAOs, not only in our town, but across towns across British Columbia, are difficult to hold on to. The ones with talent want to move up, and some of the ones that have been there too long want to come. So you have to put a process in place to get the best possible candidate. You have to take the information that you have in front of you, you have to make a judgment call, and you have to live with that decision once you've made it, and you have to try and work with that person. So it's about searching. We're not the only community that's searching for a CAO, and I can tell you that. I was just at UBCM. It's a struggle to try and find somebody that fits the bill, but it's critical to our success that we have a CAO.
Know what a CAO is? It's a chief administrative officer or the city manager for the District of Sooke. Sooke is going through a transition, and how we have vetted for this position in the past will no longer serve us in the future. What we have learned, though, is what we need to look for. A revolving door occurs with change. As we grow, we need to look to our staff. Council only interfaces with this CAO 1 day a week. Staff take leadership and direction from this person every single day. Their input into what is important to them so they succeed is critical at this place, so that this way they can deliver on what Council's priorities are. The CAO is the link between these two offices, and it's essential that we hear from our staff what is working, what it isn't, and what values are very important. It is true that Sooke may lose somebody, but we are in a place. We know we draw on the talent, and we know we can do it again.
Thank you. For all, starting with Kevin, there has been lots of talk in both of some candidates' brochure and in social media about old Sooke heritage. Should multi-generational heritage matter in this election? Kevin?
I think that all people in Sooke should matter. I think that it goes multi-generational is a word that gets thrown with it. Old Sooke, new Sooke. I don't believe in that. I believe in Sooke. And really the new Sooke is those little kids that we see. So my answer is really about being inclusive as a community. Do we want a community that isolates or favors one group over another? Absolutely not. We don't represent those values. We never have and we never will. So does it matter? Should we protect our heritage and our values? Absolutely. We should never lose sight of where we've been, but we need to value everybody at the same level in Sooke, always.
Does it matter in this election? I don't know, I don't think so. But it does matter. The people that came before us, the Sauk Nation that settled to these lands, matter. Their historical connection to the lands and sea will guide us into the future. Those that have settled in these parts matter. They put in the groundwork for the volunteer fire department that we've had for 100 years. Our fall fair that we just celebrated, our playing fields, all the lands that the districts sit on, it all matters. But we all matter. So let's celebrate and let's honor these wonderful traditions because they'll take us well into the future. And at the same time tonight, we have new people that are unpacking, and they matter too. And what they bring to us also matters. We all matter.
Preserving old heritage, well, that could mean a lot of things. For me, that cropped up into my mind was preserving agricultural land reserve land. Now there's old heritage, okay? We need to do that. We also need to preserve our salmon. We need to support our Salmon Enhancement Society. That's old heritage. I think maybe we need to preserve our waterfront. That's old heritage also. Maybe there's some old buildings here in Sooke that we need to preserve. In fact, one of the first jobs I worked on in Sooke was the Moss Cottage. I was working on the restoration of it that you see down at the museum. I was a part of that. I'm proud. Thank you.
Okay, this next one is for Maya. What about a traffic light at Sooke and Gillespie?
A traffic light at Sooke and Gillespie. So we have worked we have a very good working relationship with the province. They have conducted an open house and an online survey gathering feedback from residents and what matters. They are looking for safety improvements, and we're now in a position where we're waiting to see what those outcomes are. I know that residents have asked for a signal light there to make it safer to turn in and out, for sure. I have friends that live in that area, and I know you can sit there for quite some time before you make that dashing left turn. So it's something we advocate for. The highway is the provincial's responsibility, but we need to be at the table when they make the decisions. And when they come back to us with their plan, if it's not good enough, rest assured, I will be telling them that. Thank you.
This is for all candidates, and we are starting with Maya. Yeah, because you started, yes. So we're starting with Maya this time. As of October 17th, the legal marijuana retail standards will become law, and the 3 cannabis shops currently operating outside the rules will be in violation of the law. How will you as mayor deal with this issue?
October 17th, I guess it's Free the Weed Day for all of BC and Canada. We have put a moratorium in place that limits cannabis retailers to 3. I have talked to 2 of the 3 owners who are all working to get into compliance. They've applied to the province, and they're going step by step into that process now. In terms of, right now, we don't have a meeting, so closing them down is impossible, but at the same time, I've been in dialogue with our staff sergeant of the RCMP yesterday. What concerns does he have? Is he going to raid these shops? And he's told me that he isn't, because it's not a concern for public safety at this time. My concern with closing these shops is it's going to put people back into the black market, and they will be exposed to an unsafe supply. The intent of legalization is a safe supply for all of us. So at this time, we have 3. 3 is enough. They're getting into compliance, and I'm glad they're doing so.
Well, for a quick answer, I agree with Maya. She's up to date. Thank you, Maya, for that information. I think we all are better off for it. I just want to say that there's actually a 4th shop and everything. It's out where I live. I live out in Otter Point. I can't even vote for myself for mayor. But I'm in the trailer park there, and they actually opened up in the old Kemp Lake store. There is a 4th marijuana shop there, so I'm wondering what Mike Hicks is going to say about that. But one thing I do want to bring up that concerns me, as far as with the legalization of pot, that we got to have a really strong educational standard or what in our schools. Because that's one thing that I really don't like, the idea that young people smoking marijuana. You know, for me, it's an adult thing. If you choose that, it's like alcohol. But in school and everything, you're there to learn. And it bothers me that a lot of students just casually think, you know, I'm just going to smoke a joint and go to class. Well, you're wasting your career, your lifetime. Don't do drugs while you're going to school.
Well, I think that for the local government, I think our role is going to be minimal, but it's uphold the laws of the country. And that's going to be dictated to us by the feds and then and eventually the province, and then the dispensing licenses. And as Maya said, 2 of the 3, or actually all 3 of them, are trying to fit into compliance. The federal government has changed the rules. They're making it legal. So now we have 3 dispensaries in our community that, and as Maya said earlier, we've put a moratorium on those 3. So I really think our role is to make sure that with any businesses that they comply to the rules of the land. And I think our role is to follow the lead of the province and the feds, because it's going to be dictated to us. So.
Thank you.
So we, again, in all mayoral candidates' questions, some have questioned the value of the current mayor's involvement with a number of external organizations such as Union of BC Municipalities, CRD, the Victoria Regional Transit Commission. Why is this involvement important for Sooke, and is it necessary?
Okay, I think really it's for Maya to explain. I admire her for her energy. I just want to bring one thing up too and everything. If we were, let's say, watching a parade walking down the street. Sooke's population is 13,000. I think the greater Victoria region population is you know, getting close to 400,000. When you think about the size of Sooke, if there were 25 people in a room, one of those people would be from Sooke. The other 24 would be from all the other regions. So do we have a say in what's happening in all the other regions, CRD regions? We're just one of 25 people there.
Well, I think that there's 2 or 3 parts to that question, and I think that the value on the CRD board, it comes with us being a community and a 13-member municipality. I think that our voice gets heard. We're a distinct part of the Western communities, and I think our voice is there by whoever we represent or whoever we elect to represent us. In this case, it's our mayor. The UBCM, I think that someone has to do it. It's part of a membership that we adhere to. I personally think that, you know, my folks will be more in town, and our issues around Sooke, that's a slight difference. Somebody does do it. There is a membership required. I think our house is not quite in order right at the moment, and I think my folks would be more in town.
Thank you. So the CRD, we are a part of that. Recycling, waste disposal, water, very important to our community, the regional growth strategy, the natural spaces that surround us, how we access, enjoy these. Our voice is very important at the CRD table. Number 2, transit. Victoria has 2 representatives, so does Saanich, the West Shore, all of Langford, Colwood, Sooke, 1 person. Not enough for to be with the amount of growth that we have. So we have 2 people. Sooke was picked to be the 2nd appointment there. As for the UBCM, what happens at senior levels of government impacts us locally. It is my duty to understand these issues so that I can position our town to advocate for what's important, to be available and ready for the funding opportunities that come our way, and to position us to succeed in the future. That is why I'm there, because what matters to you and me is happening at those levels of government. Cannabis, we talked about it. Opioid, housing affordability, these things matter to us. We need to be at that table to ensure that we are not left behind.
I've just got one left. So our last question is actually for Maya, and the question is, can you explore fire hydrants to 17 Mile House?
Can I explore fire hydrants? Okay, so that's water. This is why the CRD is important, and this is why our representation at the CRD is essential. We sit on the Water Commission as well, and we have a voice there. The regional growth strategy came to a mediated outcome, and I'm very grateful to the councillors that participated in that, as well as our neighbor regional director, Mike Hicks, because water and access to safe, clean water is important. We have water, we can have fire hydrants. That area is at supreme risk of wildfire, as I said earlier, is a threat to our community.
Now we have time for their 3-minute wrap-up each. Mick, you are on for 3 minutes. Your turn.
Jeez, the community has expressed a great desire to increase public access to the waterfront and for creation of waterfront trails for tourists and residents alike. I think we should have a waterfront Central Park. This is what Sooke Council approved. This was Condor Property Holdings. This is what would have been built there. Here's another example of what had been built there. If you want that built in the middle of Sooke, hey, there are new owners of this property. Mr. Martinic, Mr. Thraitz, if you're out there, or one of your representatives, I'm saying, let's sit down, let's iron out a deal, let's swap Lot A. We want to build our library in the new park. We want to build our youth activity center. We want to build our seniors youth activity in the park. Here's a drawing. I think if we talk to Bruce and Peter, we could say, you want to build your tower blocks? Build them on Wadham's Way. And if anything, let's form a private-public partnership and build the health center while you're at it on Wadham's Way. Let's put the library in our waterfront Central Park. Let's put our senior citizens. I'll repeat again. We can apply for 90% recreational funding the federal and provincial governments announced it September 12th, 90%. You sit on the CRD, Maya. Okay, let's lobby the CRD. Let's lobby John Horgan. Oh, was he the local MLA, the premier? Geez, you know, he might want to have a say or two. But 90% funding. We have an opportunity. It's not about me. You don't have to vote for me. But whoever gets elected to council, vote for a park. All right? The reason why Condor went bankrupt, I think it was an act of God. God said, hey, Sooke, I'm going to give you a second chance. You got it wrong the last time and everything. That land sat for 2 years in bankruptcy. I lobbied the council saying, pick it up. You probably get it for 50 cents on the dollar. Well, it sat there. We got new owners. I want to sit down with the new owners and say, let's make a deal that's a win-win situation. And for our 20th anniversary, we're going to have a waterfront Central Park. Thank you.
Well, I've learned something over the last...
Oh, sorry. You're hogging the mic.
Sorry. Go ahead, Maya.
It's my turn.
Thank you so much for attending tonight. It has truly been a privilege to have served as your mayor for 4 years and on council for 10. It's been a wonderful experience, and I'm ready to do it again. I love the work. I love the opportunity to meet with you, to talk about what matters every day and how together we can make Sooke a better place to be. But when I think back over the last 4 years, there's been a number of highlights and a number of lowlights, so I'll share a few of them with you. Some lowlights for me: the opioid crisis. 2014, 300 people perished in BC. That number is hitting 1,800 now. And it's not just people with drug addiction. These are people that look like you and me. They're our neighbors, our friends, our children. And it's sad to hear. People have reached out to me, and it's been a real low light. The lack of shelter for emergencies when we've had people die in our community from hypothermia. We live in this amazing place. Why is this happening? I know I'm in a position to do something about these things, but they're lowlights that have happened. Highlights, though, we're breaking new ground. As the community grows and changes, we're breaking, it's hard work. We own a golf course now. We have a wonderful multi-playing field, or all other turf fields. We have a lot of plans for a seniors activity center, a library, affordable housing projects. These are all underway now, and they're exciting. I'm also very pleased to share with you that our submission for health services have been handed over to the province now. There was an October 1st deadline that we needed to meet, but Sooke was positioned for this months ago. So we've been waiting, waiting. I want to thank our doctors. They were the key to success for this, as well as all the other health practitioners that joined in the conversations that made this happen. Sooke is in a lead position right now in the province because of the strength and the relationships that have been formed around that table. And I was promised a historic turnaround, and you can assure me, I can tell you, October 22nd, regardless of the outcome, I will be phoning and asking when will the announcement be made, because we have been very patient on this. I love the work, but I will tell this is a message to all the councillor candidates. A meeting takes 4 of us. It's not just the mayor, me, myself, and I at the table. The table is set for 6 of you to join with me, to work together, to not just take up a seat, but to be prepared, to lend a hand, to get involved. And together we can make decisions that are important to you because they're important to everyone in this room and everyone that is still at home. And that is how we will work together, and that is how we'll serve our community. Let's do it together. Thank you.
I decided 7 years ago to get into politics because I care about Sooke. I said on that first meeting on the stage that I love Sooke. My love for Sooke hasn't changed. It hasn't diminished. I've been on council for 7 years now. and I still find the work extremely exciting. I want to make Sooke a better place to live, not for me, the here and now, but for the kids, the future. The Sooke that we all dreamed of, why we came here, why we want to stay here, and what's going to happen in the future. We're at 13,000 people now. 13,000 people is a crossroads. We have to carefully plan. Our infrastructure is struggling. We're getting to capacity. The growth that we are going to experience coming forward is going to tax all of us. We're going to have to be careful. We have one highway in and one highway out. There's people that were trapped on both sides of that last time. We need to come up with ways to fix those things. We need healthcare. We need our access to healthcare in our community. We need it to be viable, we need it to be real, and we need it to be on time. We need to keep the spirit of Sooke alive. That is in each one of us in this room, because you cared enough to come out tonight and hear what we have to say. Nobody's making promises, but what people are doing is showing passion. I have that passion, I have that fire to make Sooke that home that I was proud to grow up in. I'm proud to be married in, I'm proud to have my children in, and I'm proud to have my grandchildren participating here. But when I think about safety, people want to be safe. And it's not just safe about, oh, it's okay to cross the road. It's about safe in your community, that your investment is protected, that you know that your fire departments are on time, you know that emergency services are going to back you up when something goes wrong. But in Sooke, we have that incredible roll-up-your-sleeves attitude to get it done. I have always looked over and been so proud to be associated with the community association, Sooke Athletic Association, Sooke Fine Arts, hockey, Sooke Salmon Enhancement, and I look at these people and I think how tireless they are. Sooke Fine Arts. Think about how incredible these things are in our community. And that's a community that cares. I'm just that same person who cares. I want to be your leader. I want to do it, and I won't let you down. I won't let our town down. I'm going to bring passion to the job. Passion every day. I'm excited every day. In my current job, I love going to work. As crazy as that is, I love going to work. If I get to be the mayor, I will love going to work every day. Not because of me, but because of you, because of the kids that are coming, because of the organizations, the things that we haven't done yet. The planning, a new road, a new bypass, a new bridge, another soccer field, a sports field in Sun River. And our seniors and our youths looked after as long as they're here and as long as they want to be here. I will not let you down. October 20th, remember Kevin Pearson.
Well, that is the wrap-up. Unfortunately, we do not have time for floor questions. We were hoping we would, but we just got too many written questions down. On behalf of Chamber, we would really, really like to thank the participants, you guys, for coming in and for asking the questions, and for the candidates who put themselves out there tonight and gave us their best. We'd like to also thank Dave Evans from the Stick in the Mud with his generous donation making tonight possible. Thank you very much, Dave. And thanks to the Prestige for setting up this room for us. Everybody, thank you so much for coming tonight. It's great to see everybody out.